Welcome to Dodgers Daily. I'm Casey Porter. I'm so glad that you decided to tune in. What an exciting game it was last night. Hey, I love pitching duels every now and then. The 2-0 game, when it's close like that, nobody's scoring. Now, I wouldn't want 162 of them, but when you have a close game like that and you have a pitching duel, it's almost like it's fourth down and goal, like for 3 hours in a row, because it seems like every single pitch, every single hit, every single scenario is just amplified and matters that much more. So a super exciting game last night. Awesome to see David Peralta come through. And the Dodgers, like I said again, just finding ways to win like they have all year. Gritty, tough. They never quit. How about the rookie Bobby Miller? So we have a lot to talk about with the LA Dodgers game last night. It was not quite as positive on the farm. Oklahoma City at the AAA level, they lost. Tulsa, they continue to struggle. That's been a team that's been decimated by all the moves, and that's typical of any organization that moves their players as many times as the Dodgers do. A lot of times it's that second level down, the AA level, because the AAA guys, they're going to go get a David Dahl, they're going to get a Pat Valaika out of free agency and refill the roster that way. Whereas if a AA team loses a Landon Knack, if they lose a Kyle Hurt, if they lose a Nick Frasso, a Johnny DeLuca, and Andy Pages like they have this year, they don't replace them with free agent guys that have equal experience. So a lot of times this happens to a AA team in a franchise that is as good and as aggressive as the Dodgers are. So Tulsa continues to struggle. Great Lakes won their game last night. Maddux Bruns had another very good outing, and then Rancho Cucamonga lost as well. So we have a lot to talk about on today's show. But before we do, just a reminder, if you'd like to help, by donating, we have the link to our GoFundMe account in the description. Also, hey, just a reminder, keep leaving your awesome comments. Keep interacting with these videos. Keep making YouTube think that these are videos that you like. That way they keep getting suggested. They get more views, and that way we can keep growing and keep doing what we love to do, which is providing video and content like this in the future. Okay, it was an exciting game again last night, so let's not waste more time. Let's get right to it, and let's talk Dodgers baseball. So with the win last night, the Dodgers moved to 67-46. Amazing that they're 19 games over 500. When you think of all the moving parts this year, they now have a 6-game lead over the San Francisco Giants, an 11-game lead over Arizona. I just cannot believe that. Arizona had a 3 or 4 game lead in the division, just about 3 or 4 games before the All-Star break, and they have just been in free fall. I did not see that coming. I've said that a couple of times. I thought they had too much good young talent, too much speed, too much athletic ability, but it has happened. They're 11 games back, and they are only 2 games ahead of the Padres, who are 13 games back. So, man, that is crazy. And if the Dodgers, I said it a couple of times, we talked about this with Coach Holt last week on, when he joined on Friday. If the Dodgers can open up an 8, 9, 10 game lead in the division, then they can go big picture a little bit more. They can incorporate a Walker Buehler when he gets back, maybe bring up a Ryan Pepio. They can kind of, just work on the different roles that they want each pitcher and or reliever. They can get a better look as to who they want to trust down the stretch and work on, just defining roles for the playoff run that we know last year was disappointing. So everything at that point would be geared to, hey, how do we keep what happened last year from happening again? So here's the thing, this has been a team. I've talked about this a couple of times. They figured out how to get a lead in first place with the roster we had in place before any of the transactions happened. And hey, we love the fact that Kike has been great since he's come back. He's been a definite add to this team. Joe Kelly was absolutely dirty again last night. He's been a fantastic add. Ahmed Rosario has been great. Lance Lynn has been absolutely lights out. Ryan Yarborough, he did a great job in his piggyback setting the other day. But having said that, if you look at the lineup that the Dodgers had last night, okay, that's the original right there. You have Jason Hayward, you have David Peralta, you have James Outman in the outfield, Max Muncy's in the lineup, Freddie Freeman's hitting, Will Smith is catching, Bobby Miller is pitching. That's the original lineup and group of guys that built the first place lead, and that has defined the mentality of this team, a mentality that is gritty, a mentality that is blue collar, a mentality that is tough, and a mentality that, hey, we are never going to quit, and we're just going to simply find a way to win games. So you went out, and so when you went out and you got guys at the trade deadline, You had to go get guys that could add to that already mentality and not change it. You went out and got a Kike who completely adds to that blue-collar, tough, clutch, just figure out a way to win. You went out and added Joe Kelly, who brings just that exact attitude of just toughness and bulldog and coming right at you. No fear whatsoever. He put that mentality that the Dodgers had already created and just completely added that. Ahmed Rosario as well. You know, you have an offense that, you know, of all the things we talked about this year as far as on the field, you know, take away all the intangibles like the mentality. The one thing the Dodgers have been good at has been hitting this year. So then you add Ahmed Rosario to that, and you add a left-handed, you know, a guy who can hit left-handers very well. So he's added to something you've already done very well this year, which is hitting. So he's been a definite add. Then you added a guy like Lance Lynn, who has the style of pitcher that the Dodgers have, plus the experience. So the formula for the Dodgers, the riding four-seam, the left-turning change, the left-turning slider, the right-turning changeups, or two-seam, whatever you want it to be, and then big-time Major League experience. He checked every box for the Dodgers. That's why he has been plug and play for them. So, hey, this has been a situation to where Doc has had to have injuries. What a job he's done this year, and I brag on him quite a bit. And even if you're a critic of him, and I understand, hey, he makes some moves that make you scratch your heads. You know, the Dodgers fans would like to have more World Series championships other than one in 2020, which some people, you know, outside the Dodgers organization, even Corey Seager, question with the shortened season, nobody in the stands. The validity of that, I am not one of those. Hey, you play by the rules you're given, and then if you win, then you win. You know, so I'm not one of the people that take away any of the credit for the 2020 World Series. Okay, so, you know, I understand the criticism that Dave takes on sometimes. It seems like he's a little too soft on his players, a little bit too happy, not tough enough on the umpires. You know, it just seems like he kind of sits by and lets a strike zone go or a call or this or that. Not this year. Even the biggest of critics of Dave Roberts right now have to agree that what he's done with the injuries, what he's done incorporating rookies, and then developing the mentality of this team, and then just adding to that with the acquisitions at the trade deadline and making it all seamless and getting the Dodgers in a situation to where with a pitching staff that has the 19th best ERA in all of baseball, having this kind of lead over a good Giants team, over a good D-backs team, over an extremely talented Padres team, you got to give Dave Roberts his credit. And, hey, let's just look no further than last night. You know, one of the things that a lot of people complain about, and I am probably the leader of this, too many analytics. Coach Holt hit on this last week. Hey, there are times to where you got to go, you know what, guys? Put your book down for a second. I understand all the matchups. I understand what the data is telling us what to do. But right now, hey, you know what? I've got David Peralta, who has been just a fantastic hitter this year. I've got David Peralta up, and, you know, I've got a hunch that him coming back to Arizona, even if it's against a lefty, and the simple fact that hey, we just got Ahmed Rosario, and the specific reason was to bring him in that situation to hit against left-handed pitching, even though that sets up and the statistics and the data would say bring in the pinch hitter. Okay, I'm going with my guy, the freight train. I'm going to play a hunch. I'm going to use my gut. I'm going to use my instincts, and I'll be darned if it didn't work out. And a lot of that is because the players appreciate the fact that Dave Roberts shows that kind of confidence in them. And when a manager does that, when he gives you a show of confidence, you don't want to let him down. And I'm just telling you, the freight train last night, he did not want to let Dave Roberts down. As a matter of fact, Dave Roberts let 3 left-handed hitters face a left-handed pitcher in the 8th inning last night. And it worked. Went completely against the analytics. And also, by the way, let Bobby Miller go out there for the 7th inning. Hey, let's see if he can stretch out, see how far he can go. And I can tell you this, Bobby Miller was fantastic last night. He touched as high as 101 with his four-seam. Went scoreless, obviously scoreless because Caleb Ferguson came in and did just a great job, and great for Caleb Ferguson. The thing I love about Bobby Miller, if you look at him, and I've seen this, if I've seen it once, I've seen it 1,000 times. As well as he pitched, okay, 0 runs. Of course, when he came out, there were 2 runners on. But as it played out, 0 runs in 6 total innings pitched. Okay, he wasn't satisfied with that. Matter of fact, he was more ticked off that he didn't get the first 2 outs in the 7th inning and complete the 7th inning for his team. He was more ticked off about that than he was happy about the fact that he went 6 innings scoreless before that. So Bobby Miller was simply fantastic. Okay, so 101 miles an hour on the 4-seam. His movement was 15 and 11. If you hear me say 15 and 11, the first number is vertical break. The second number is horizontal break. So he was 15 and 11 on his 4-seam. That was 101 miles an hour. So when you're getting 15 inches of vertical break on a 101 mile an hour pitch, that's ridiculous, especially when you're talking about 11 inches of horizontal movement to the arm side. That's just crazy. That's why this guy is so talented. I mean, that's why he just so has the ability and the potential to be so just ridiculously elite, because not many people can do that. Okay, his slider. Bobby Miller's slider had 43 inches of vertical movement to it. That is incredible. Not only did it have that much movement to it, he was able to keep it in the zone 40% of the time. It had a 40% whiff rate. And then not only that, that's just when he threw it in the zone. That's not the total amount of strikes he threw a slider with. Then he also had, 1 out of 3 times that the ball was out of the zone, talking about his slider. He got swings and misses on those pitches. So that slider was a devastating pitch last night. Check this out too. Curveball in the zone 63% of the time. And that curveball, all it needs to be for him is that pitch that keeps hitters off his fastball. Just flip it in there to give the hitter a different look. They're gearing up for 101. Just give them a little bit of off speed with some downward movement so they can't ambush you. He absolutely did that by throwing that get me over curveball for a strike 63% of the time. When I say get me over, that sounds a little more derogatory than it should. It just means that he's trying to make sure that curveball, the way that he's using it and the counts that he's using it in, it just means that he's trying to use that curveball as a high strike efficiency pitch so he can throw it in counts that maybe a hitter sitting on a fastball. Then also a sinker with the right turn. Check this out. Okay, he was very good with that as well, and he threw 80% strikes with his sinker. So that was fantastic. He threw 6 scoreless innings. Okay, and now Bobby Miller has given up just 1 run in his last 9 2/3 innings. How about that? Bobby Miller has elite potential. But hey, Coach Holt hit on this last Friday. The definition of potential just means you haven't done anything yet. Okay, so let's not say he has potential. Let's go ahead and say that potential has turned into production and you're seeing it right in front of your eyes. So great job, Bobby Miller. I was super proud of Caleb Ferguson. The Dodgers needed him to come up huge. Of course, the bunt attempt where he turned a double play, and boy, whenever he caught that, was I the only one sweating bullets that, oh my gosh, he's got to throw the ball now back to he's got to throw the ball here. We're going to see how that's going to play out, but he did a good job of composing himself, getting the double play, getting out of that inning to where he preserved the game where the Dodgers then could score the 2 runs in the 8th to win. Okay, Caleb Ferguson, he's had his ups and downs. We know that, as every pitcher does throughout a 162-game season. But by and large, I think we all have to admit, Caleb Ferguson has had a good year. His ERA is just 2.98. Caleb Ferguson has given up just 4 earned runs since June 13th. Okay, so that's pretty good. Okay, and that spans 19.1 innings. So 4 earned runs. So that would be, just about 2 runs if you're a starter and you went 9 innings. That'd be a little over two earned runs over that 9-inning span. So that's actually really, really, really good. So his last 19.1 innings, Caleb Ferguson, although he has been that roller coaster, and it seems like whenever it has gone sideways on him, it's been in really crucial moments. But by and large, he has been very good all year and very good as of late in his last 19.1 innings. And during that time, he has 24 strikeouts. And he's gone, like I said, he's gone scoreless in 19 of his last 22 outings. So by and large, Caleb Ferguson has been good this year. Boy, how about Joe Kelly? Durty with a U, D-U-R-T-Y. That's just a little more emphasis on how just nasty he was. And hey, I talked about that mentality of just being gritty, blue collar, tough, come right at you. No fear. Nobody personifies that more than Joe Kelly, man. This dude is absolutely nasty. He's giving the Dodgers even more of an edge than they had before. And he's also giving the Dodgers that high leverage guy out of the pen to bridge the game to Evan Phillips that the Dodgers, and as good as they've been, they have missed that role this year. So not only, he's providing obviously lots of value in his performance on the field, but just from a mentality perspective, Dave, and Dave loves his guys he trusts. We've talked about that. Knowing he has that guy that can come in and bring that mentality and then also bridge it to Evan Phillips, and you can trust him to be dirty like that. That is absolutely huge. And Joe Kelly, since he's been back, has not allowed a run, and he has 7 strikeouts. So Joe Kelly has been absolutely huge. How about Freddie Freeman? Boy, this guy is just absolutely amazing. He had 2 hits last night. Freddie Freeman has 4 multi-hit games in a row. He has 7 multi-hit games this month. He has 9 multi-hit games in his last 12, and he has 48 multi-hit games on the season. That's absolutely incredible. Freddie Freeman. James Outman. Boy, how good has he been? He's hitting .391 in his last 7 games. He's hitting .349 in his last 15 games, and he's hitting .326 in his last 30 games. That's amazing. And, okay, by the way, his OPS in all those scenarios, last 7 games, last 15, last 30, it's been over 900 in all of those 3 scenarios as well. And he has a 14-game on-base streak, and he scored a run at the bottom lineup in 6 of the last 8 games. And when you have a guy at the bottom of your lineup that's scoring almost 1 run per game, that is absolutely huge for your offense. Wasn't it fun to watch the freight train last night? David Peralta get the big hit off of the lefty. That certainly was fun. David Peralta has been fantastic all year, especially as of late. He's hitting .350 in his last 7 games, OPS .818, so great for David Peralta. And let's finish this thing by just kind of rehashing some of the decisions that Dave Roberts has made as of late. I talked about this last weekend whenever they decided to make Michael Grove the opener. I thought that was fantastic. The Dodgers showed that confidence in Grove. I thought it was great how they incorporated Ryan Yarbrough in his first start. Lance Lynn's obviously been fantastic. Okay, I thought it was great how Dave Roberts, I thought he used Bobby Miller and stretched him exactly the way he should have last night. Then I thought the hunch that he went with in the 8th with the 3 lefties facing the left-handed pitcher was absolutely fantastic. The way that he has incorporated the rookies has been fantastic. The way that he has incorporated all the new additions has been fantastic. And the way that he has built just a gritty, tough, blue-collar mentality. Hey, and most teams, they are a mirror of their manager. I think if you've ever watched Dave Roberts play, the way that this team is playing this year is absolutely an exact mirror of the type of player that Dave Roberts has. So I would have to think every time he gets on the bus or wherever it may be, leaving the yard, he just has a smile on his face, because when he looks out there, he's seeing a team that is a reflection of him and something that he should be very happy with and very proud of. So, hey, love the vibe of this team. Got to keep rolling on. But as of right now, 19 games over 500, 6 games in the lead in the NL West. So things are on the up and up. Oklahoma City Dodgers pounded out 11 hits last night, but can only score 4 runs. They had single runs in the 1st, 6th, 7th, and 8th inning, and they dropped a 6-4 decision to the AAA affiliates of the Seattle Mariners, the Tacoma Rainiers. But it has been a great season for AAA Oklahoma City. They have won exactly twice as many games as they have lost, and even with the loss last night, they are still 72-36. Would you be surprised if I told you that Michael Busch led the way offensively last night for AAA Oklahoma City? He hit a home run, which was the 2nd game in a row. He's gone long ball for the AAA Oklahoma City Dodgers. He's hitting over .311 this month. For the year. So Michael Busch, he continues to rake AAA pitching. And hey, if the Dodgers can open up a substantial lead of the NL West, 9, 10, 11 games, this is the type of guy, Michael Busch, that would benefit the most, because then if the Dodgers could go a little bit more big picture, at least, hey, as far as if you're a little bit further distance away from the playoffs. Now, not down the stretch. The Dodgers need to spend the last couple of weeks getting everything squared away for the playoffs. But if you can build a 9, 10, 11 game lead, a guy like Michael Busch could go up there, say, in early September or maybe late August, and he could get maybe a 2-3 week of runway with consistent daily at-bats, and he could show everybody what he's capable of, which, hey, he may strike, he may get hot. You know, it takes Michael Busch a minute to get adjusted to the different levels that he jumps. It always has, so it would be interesting to see how that would work out. But like I said, it would be good to see the Dodgers build that lead and then get a guy like Michael Busch some Major League at-bats to see what he could do. It's been an interesting year for left-handed hitter Justin Yurchek out of Binghamton. He's been on the develop list 2 different times, and he's been on it, I believe, to start the year, and just as of late, he just got off of it. So, hey, the opportunities have been limited. I've talked about him. He's kind of that tweener guy. He's a first baseman, basically. They've tried to play him a little bit in left field, but he's a first baseman, basically, and he's a guy that doesn't hit a whole lot of home runs, although his OPS numbers usually are over 800, so it's not like, you know, the on-base plus slugging is terrible or anything like that. It's just that it doesn't equate to home runs, and the Dodgers like to have power coming out of their first baseman. But he is a terrific hitter, and he has done everything that he can with the opportunities he's been given. So, hey, Justin, you just got to keep your head down, keep grinding, let the chips fall where they may, and just keep controlling every day you show up, controlling what you can control. He's done a great job of that. Justin Yurchek. Had a chance to watch Bryson Brigman now, both at the AA Tulsa level and the AAA Oklahoma City level, for over 5 months. And I tell you what, this young man, you can see the speed there. Great athlete, great speed, great energy, very positive vibes every time you're around him. He's a guy that radiates and a guy that you want to hang around, and that makes you feel better and puts you in a better mood. And when you're talking about 162 game set to schedule, a 6-month-long grind, the guys that are like that are valuable, because, hey, if you have a guy that say is negative, or you don't want to be around him, or I call them vampires, they suck your energy. If you're around that guy for 6 months, that gets really difficult. So when you have guys that have high energy, like Bryson Brigman, that have positive energy, positive focus, and they always put you in a good mood when you're around them, they are super valuable, especially at these times in the year where in Oklahoma City it's been over 100 degrees for a million days in a row. You're hot, you're tired, everybody's a little bit more irritable. Guys like Bryson Brigman are very valuable in their mentalities. And by the way, he's also very valuable in the sense that he can play shortstop, he can play second base, he can play third base if you needed him to, and he can play every position in the outfield. He can lead off, be a table setter, he can get base hits, he's at a good average, hit maybe in the 2-3 hole, maybe even in the 4 hole to drive in some runs. So Bryson Brigman, hey, I'm sold on this guy being a really, really good baseball player. Pitching-wise last night, Matt Andriese got the start. It was a rough start for him. He gave up 5 runs in 2 innings. He had just 1 strikeout and a walk, and he gave up 5 hits as well. Keegan Curtis had his second back-to-back really good outing. He went 3 innings last night, gave up just 1 earned run, had no strikeouts, a walk, gave up just 2 hits, though, in 3 innings. So Keegan Curtis did a great job at inducing weak contact. Jimmy Nelson, who you're seeing right here, look at that slider. Great pitch. That's more of a cutters type shape to it. When he throws that slider really good, it starts at the shoulder of a right-hander and it breaks all the way to the outside corner. That one right there, and it's a devastating pitch. That actually was a routine fly ball that looked a little bit worse, and then that's a good slider right there. You saw it again. Gave up a base hit on that, but the slider has looked really good for Jimmy Nelson, but that right there has been his problem. Throwing strikes. There's another really good slider. You got to see it. Throwing strikes for Jimmy Nelson, that has been an issue with him this year. When he's thrown strikes, he's done very well, but that has not always happened as far as the way that he has pitched this year. As a matter of fact, in 20.2 innings he's thrown this year, he has 22 walks. He also has 25 strikeouts. So you see the stuff is good. It's explosive. The slider is fantastic, but it doesn't matter if you're not throwing enough strikes. That's why he's not with LA right now. That's why he hasn't got called up yet. So, hey, the ball is definitely in his court. If Jimmy Nelson can start throwing strikes, and if the Dodgers can build, like I said, like we talked about with Michael Busch, if they can build a big enough lead to bring a guy like, look at that nice slider, to a lefty. If they can build a big enough lead up to where they can experiment a little bit with a guy like Jimmy Nelson, see what he can do. Look, he pulled that slider there. Hey, he would be the type of guy that would benefit from that scenario. There's that slider I'm talking about that breaks to the outside corner. So, hey, we'll keep an eye on Jimmy Nelson. Great story for left-handed pitcher James Jones, who forever was a position player, was getting ready to retire, and then, hey, let's give pitching a shot. They always knew, some of his coaches and scouts knew that he had the big arm. That's Patrick Mazika catching, by the way. So, like, hey, let's see what you can do. You're left-handed. Look at that little sweeper, type slurve type pitch. Really good pitch for James Jones. So he converted to a pitcher. So here you go. You have a 34-year-old converted outfielder who is now pitching and is at the AAA level, and he's hitting 95 on the radar gun, and he is just simply hoping to catch lightning in a bottle. What a story it would be if James Jones, who's been at the complex almost all year, he just got called up to AAA Oklahoma City, like maybe this week, maybe earlier, or maybe at the end of last week. What a story it would be if he made it to the major leagues. James Jones, at age 34, he's gone scoreless in his last 2 outings, and he has 2 strikeouts, no walks. It has been a rough patch in the last month and a half or so for the AA Tulsa Drillers. There is no getting around that. Hey, their manager, Scott Hennessy, is fighting the cancer battle, and, hey, they haven't won a whole lot of games as of late. The record is down to 53-51. And it's a setting that wears on you, especially, like I said, in Oklahoma. It's been over 100 degrees. So that grind, and everywhere you go, whether it be Arkansas in the Texas League or Wichita, Kansas, or if you go south down into Texas, maybe Frisco, the places like that, it's hot everywhere you go. It's over 100 degrees, so you're already tired. You're already irritable from that perspective. Then you've hit a rough patch. Then your manager is sick. It's just been a very difficult grind for this AA Tulsa team. But, hey, I got to go to Tulsa on Tuesday, interviewed Kevin Gowdy, was scheduled to interview Ben Kasparius, but, hey, these guys get so busy. I'll get him somewhere down the line. I can tell you there is a lot of frustration in terms of not winning as many games as some of these guys would like. But, hey, in the game of baseball, there's a phrase, turn frustration into motivation. I assure you that's doing that, and these players are like a brotherhood. They enjoy playing together on this team unit. But, hey, last night was another tough night. They scored 3 in the first and got out to a good start, but then only scored 1 more run. From there on out, they scored 3 in the first on this home run from Emmanuel Vargas, who, by the way, hit a 3-run home run for the second night in a row for the AA Tulsa Drillers. They dropped to the Amarillo Sod Poodles 7-4, who are the AA affiliates of the Arizona Diamondbacks, to drop the record to 53-51 on the season. 4 runs on 4 hits, highlighted by this 3-run home run from Emmanuel Vargas. If you remember the Manny Machado trade, if you remember the one prospect that was the headliner of that, it was Yusniel Diaz. The Dodgers got him back this year, and boy, has he been absolutely on fire. This young man last week had an incredible week at Wichita, and he has just picked up where he left off. And the thing about him, if you look at the way he hits right there, this is why I wanted to put this video down. He is great at staying inside the baseball and hitting that ball to the right center field gap. I love guys that do that. Austin Gothier obviously is very good at that as well. He had 3 hits and scored a couple of runs for AA Tulsa last night. He has 4 multi-hit games in a row. He has an 8-game hit streak, and Yusniel Diaz is hitting .500 so far in August. His OPS is 1653. He has 4 home runs, 10 RBIs, 9 runs scored, and 28 total bases. So Yusniel Diaz has been absolutely on fire. Diego Cartaya has hits in 4 games in a row, the Dodgers' #1 prospect, and he has 3 home runs in his last 6 games, or first 6 games played this month in August. Look at that opposite field home run. I love that swing there. His defense and his throwdowns have been very good too. So it looks like Diego Cartaya, it looks like he is trying his best. Obviously he is trying his best to finish strong, a season that has not looked good statistically for him, but hey, build some momentum down the stretch. Again, when I was there Tuesday doing interviews, he was with Juan Apodaca, and they were in Yorbit Vivas was catching balls at second base. He worked tirelessly on his throwdowns to second base. He works tirelessly at his offensive game. This is a young man that takes absolutely nothing for granted. He's one of the hardest workers, one of the best people in the organization, and I assure you everybody's rooting for him like heck to reach his potential. That is just absolutely fantastic. So it's good to see Diego Cartaya hitting some home runs as of late and getting hits in 4 games in a row. Pitching-wise last night, Nick Frasso, who has been just simply fantastic as of late. He's gone 6 innings, I believe, in like 3 starts in a row and been very dominant in those outings. A little bit rougher for him last night. He went 4 innings, gave up 3 earned runs, had 3 strikeouts and 2 walks, gave up 5 hits as well. Tanner Dawson actually got the loss last night. Dotson had been pitching really, really good as of late as well and didn't pitch bad last night. Inning in the 3rd, gave up 1 run, had 2 walks, no strikeouts, 3 hits. Trevor Betancourt came in. He struggled a touch, went 1 2/3 innings, gave up 3 earned runs, had a strikeout, no walks, gave up 3 hits. And Antonio Knowles, man. Antonio Knowles, when he goes on his heaters, he is simply fantastic. 2 innings last night. I love those multiple inning guys. At this time of the year, they are so valuable. Went 2 innings, gave up no runs, had a strikeout and a walk. Gave up just 1 hit. So who you're seeing right here is Ryan Sublette. He threw a scoreless inning for AA Tulsa. He got the win the night before. Actually, this is Sublette from not last night, but from Tuesday night. He got the win on Tuesday night. He struck out 1. He gave up no hits, and he lowered his ERA down to 2.45. So far this month in August, average against for sub is 0.91, and so Ryan Sublette, the Red Raider, is looking for a big finish. Okay, so this is from Tuesday night again, but this is Braden Fisher, and I give him a standing ovation. I'm telling you, give this young kid a standing ovation. He has been an absolute workhorse. If you remember for Great Lakes, I mean, he was a workhorse for them. I think he threw like on 3 nights in a row, and one of them was a multiple inning, and that's kind of been a theme for him, multiple inning outing. Braden Fisher, he has been super reliable, super clutch. He has been an absolute workhorse. He's extremely talented, very hardworking. I can attest. I've talked to him on several different occasions. He is one of the kindest, most considerate human beings you will ever meet. Big breaking ball, really good fastball. He's long and lanky, and I'll tell you what, man, he has been a guy that you dial him up and you need to save pitching. You dial him up and you need a guy to extend a little bit. Not only can you pitch him, on a consistent basis as far as the amount of games that he's pitched in, you can also ask him to go multiple innings, something that he has done very many times. On Tuesday night, he went 2 scoreless. He struck out 4. He walked none. And so getting back to the multiple inning thing, okay, he's given up no hits. As a matter of fact, let me back up. Going back to the multiple inning thing, 35th appearance this year for Braden Fisher. That shows you how many times he's come in, as far as being a workhorse. But out of the 35 starts, more than half of them have been multi-inning appearances. 18 times Braden Fisher has gone more than 1 inning for his team, and he has been absolutely fantastic. Braden Fisher, wanted to give him a standing ovation. Got to interview Kevin Gowdy, a right-handed pitcher who was a pretty big deal out of Santa Barbara. He got drafted in 2016, 2nd round by the Phillies. Big arm. Hey, he's a guy that really knows how to pitch. Came to the Dodgers in the offseason via free agency. Has the big arm, very infectious. That slider, that is a good pitch. Just watch how he pitches. That slider there, too, a good pitch. Lots of positive energy. If you're a player behind him, and let's say you've been on the field for 2.5 hours, then he comes in my opinion, if I was playing behind him, he would shoot some energy into me because he brings energy with him. He brings excitement. He's excited to be out there, and I think that would be infectious and contagious to the guys around him. So I always enjoy watching Kevin Gowdy when he pitches from those perspectives. And he went scoreless in his 1 inning last night and had 2 strikeouts. So great job, Kevin Gowdy. It was a pleasure getting to meet him and interview him. I'll tell you what, there is no more focused human being talking about a laser focus than Ricky Vanasco. It's been a pretty hectic year for him, but man, he is absolutely locked in right now and all full steam ahead for him. And boy, last night was another good outing. He went 1 scoreless with a strikeout, no walks, no hits, and he's gone scoreless now in 8 outings in a row. So it's Ricky Vanasco. I've had a chance to communicate with him a little bit back and forth, and I can tell you, man, this dude, he has one goal, and that is to look ahead, look forward, stay focused, and to continue to put zeros on the board. Great Lakes Loons had a good night last night. Maddux Bruns was on the bump. As you see here, Jack Dreyer actually got the win, but the Loons, they had 8 hits on the night. They scored 5 runs, and they beat the West Michigan Whitecaps 5-1, thanks in part to a really good start by Maddux Bruns, who you're seeing here. Jack Dreyer got the win, went 2 2/3 innings. We'll talk about him a little bit more here in a minute. Same with Michael Hobbs, who got a hold. We'll talk about him as well. He went 1 scoreless. Lucas Webb had a scoreless inning as well. So, hey, 5-1. The Loons, really good game for them last night. And Maddux Bruns, he was good again for the High A Great Lakes Loons. He looked, as a matter of fact, at times last night as dominant as he has since he's been a Dodger. His stuff looked very, very explosive. 7 strikeouts in 4 1/3 innings, 1 run on 2 hits. Fastball was in the 96 range. Breaking ball, as you've seen in this video, was absolutely on point. And Maddux Bruns now, to go to how explosive his stuff is, 98 strikeouts in 72 innings. So his stuff, no doubt, is big. And his ERA on the year is just 3.63. So great job, Maddux Bruns. I always make sure and I take advantage of every chance I get to brag on and talk good about Bubba Alleyne, the last year, the 2022 Big Ten Player of the Year. He had a hit left-handed, and right here had a hit right-handed as well. So super big talent for Bubba Alleyne, the young man who is out of the Philadelphia area. So 2 hits for him, and he has 2 multi-hit games and has been on base 6 times and scored 5 runs in his last 3 games. So Bubba Alleyne keeps grinding for the Great Lakes Loons. Luis Guerra just got called up from the low A Rancho Cucamonga Quakes up to the High A Great Lakes Loons. Did not take him long to make his impact. Luis Diaz got called up to AA Tulsa. Got a chance to watch him take some BP. So here comes Luis Guerra, and I love that stroke that just use the middle of the field. All your, most of the amount of base hits and doubles are from left center to right center, and Luis Guerra is very, very good at using the big part of the field. Got promoted to High A less than a week ago, had his first multi-hit game last night in the 4 games he's played with the Loons. Hey, Guerra is a 19-year-old out of Venezuela, one of those international prospects that was signed at the age of 16. So he's already been in the organization for 3 years, but still only 19 years old. So a very interesting prospect to follow, Luis Guerra. Not much more you can say about Jack Dreyer, the left-hander out of Iowa, the former Iowa Hawkeye. Look at that big breaking ball. That thing is big time, and he has been just simply fantastic on the season. Dreyer went to 5-0. He got the win last night to move to 5-0, and he threw his 10th scoreless outing in a row, and that spans 15.1 innings. So great job, Jack Dreyer. And Dreyer has 26 strikeouts in his last 14.2 innings. So, hey, not only has he been good, he's been dominant, and he has a lot of swing and miss in his stuff, and he's given up just 6 hits during that span in his last 14.2 innings. So, hey, keep killing it, Jack Dreyer. Talk about a guy who brings an edge with him every time he takes the mound. That would be Michael Hobbs. He was hitting 96 last night for the Great Lakes Loons, pairing that with his big breaking ball that he always has every time he pitches, and he went scoreless last night for the Loons. Hobbs has his ERA down to 3.15 on the season. His average against down to 1.85, and his ERA in June was 2.08, just 2.38 in July, and is 0 so far in August. So he has been really, really good. As the dog days of summer warmed up, so did Michael Hobbs, the all-time saves leader out of St. Mary's College. If you remember, Lucas Webb got brought up to the High A Great Lakes Loons just about a month ago, and he's a little bit older. He's from Toronto, Canada. He went to UL Monroe, so I just kind of assumed that he would be a little bit of a fast mover, and so, hey, would not be surprised if he got brought up and gave the Tulsa Drillers, there's Max Hewitt, young man out of Oklahoma State, and gave the AA Tulsa Drillers a little bit of reinforcement. I have no inside information on that, so, hey, take that for what it is, which is just my guess, in my opinion, but he went scoreless again last night for the Great Lakes Loons. It lowers ERA down to 3.14, his whip down to 101, and Lucas Webb has 76 strikeouts in 47.2 innings. So that, hey, knees and elbows, kind of a quirky looking windup right there, really deceptive for hitters, and it has led to a lot of swing and miss. ERA in June for Webb was 0.00, just 0.99 batting average against, just 1.92 in July. His ERA in July was just 2.38. His average against was 143 whip, 097 for Lucas Webb so far in August. So, hey, he has done just a fantastic job, Lucas Webb. Rancho Cucamonga Quake scored 1 in the third, and they got down 7-1 and then stormed back, but they were only able to muster 4 runs. They did make it close, but they dropped 7-4 to the Inland Empires, the low A affiliates or single A affiliates of the Anaheim Angels. They dropped now to 55-49 on the season. Wilman Diaz had another hit last night. He went 1 for 5. Josue De Paula had a couple hits, 2 for 4. Jake Geloff, man, hey, he's in the lineup, just got drafted out of the University of Virginia. He went 2 for 5 last night. Joe Vetrano, another young man who just got drafted out of BC. He went 1 for 4. Jesus Calise, he went 2 for 4, had a couple of hits and a couple of RBIs, raised his average to 255. Joe Vetrano, by the way, since he got placed with the single A Rancho Cucamonga Quakes after being drafted, Vetrano is hitting 300 with the Quakes. So that's good. Rain Don Cone, he had a hit. He's batting 214 on the season. And so on the night for the Rancho Cucamonga Quakes, they pounded out 10 hits, but just 4 runs pitching-wise. Roque Gutierrez, he started. He went 2 2/3 innings. He gave up 3 runs, had 4 strikeouts, 4 walks, and gave up 3 hits. Levon Reynoso, he had another great outing. I would have to think that Levon Reynoso will get moved up to High A Great Lakes at some point, especially if a Lucas Webb or somebody like that gets moved up to Double A Tulsa. 2 1/3 innings for him last night, scoreless. He struck out 2, walked 1, gave up just 2 runs last night. So Levon Reynoso was very good for the single A Rancho Cucamonga Quakes. Hey, how about Garrett McDaniels? He got to pitch last night. It went a little bit sideways for him, but that's okay because, hey, good just to get to see him in video and get to see him with the Rancho Cucamonga Quakes. He is a very talented young man. He went 1 2/3 innings, gave up 4 earned runs, had 2 strikeouts and a walk, gave up 5 hits. Kelvin Ramirez went 1 1/3. He had 1 strikeout, no walks, gave up 1 hit on the night. And then Madison Jeffrey, a good night for him last night. He went 1 inning, scoreless, had 2 strikeouts, no walks, and gave up just 1 hit. So again, the Rancho Cucamonga Quakes, they dropped a decision 7-4 to the Inland Empires 66ers. Easy for me to say. That's a tongue twister for me to drop the record to 55-49. So there you have it. There's our show for you today. Exciting game for LA, AA Tulsa, AAA Oklahoma City. They had rough nights. It was a great night for Great Lakes and then a little bit of a rough night for the single A Rancho Cucamonga Quakes. So I hope you enjoyed the show. Tomorrow morning, it's going to be Coach Holt joining again. So I hope you tune in for that. And just a reminder, if you'd like to help Dodgers Daily, we have the link to our GoFundMe account in the description if you'd like to help and donate. Also, just a reminder, leave a comment, share this video, tell all your friends about Dodgers Daily. Keep interacting with these videos and make sure your notifications are turned on. As always, I would like to thank you for tuning in and say go Dodgers.